Okay, let me make sure everybody can hear me.
Gotcha, Judge.
I can hear you.
I'm good.
All right. Shannon, you could put us back on the record, please. Go ahead with your questions, Mr. Kronzek.
Bridget, you don't have any personal knowledge of whether school actually ends on May 19th for Avery, is that correct?
That is not correct.
All right, did you inquire to determine whether May 27th is an activity that she is involved in?
I did.
All right, and based on your inquiry, do you believe that is or is not an activity on May 27th, Grandparent Day and such?
It is not.
Okay. How are things between, in a general sense, between you and Bridget? Do you work, I'm sorry, you and Sarah, do you guys work well together?
At times.
Yeah. Can you give me some examples of recent times when you work well together?
We haven't really had anything recently that we've had to work together on. Do you want me to expand on that?
No, if they're not there, that's good enough. I don't want to coerce an answer out of you. If it's not there, it's not there. Well, I'll just move on.
Okay.
Sarah has in fact suggested or requested some schedule changes very recently that seemingly would align with your desire for having Avery spend less time in the car traveling for exchanges. Do you recall that?
I'm not sure which schedule change you're talking about.
Okay. Would you tell the court what Sarah has requested of you that she indicated would have cut Avery's travel time?
Brenner, I'm going to object if this is leading into settlement talks, since that was objected to and I brought that up.
Well, the question.
Wait a minute. Counsel, you withdrew your question. You didn't give me a chance to rule on it.
Understood, Your Honor.
Conversations between parents about adjusting the parenting time schedule, even if they were technically within the realm of settlement discussions, I would still permit, since that's something I expect of all parents before they run off and file a motion, that they try to work it out. That's the best course. So I'm going to allow this inquiry, and if you wish to revisit the issue later with your client, I would certainly allow it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right. Bridget, would you explain to the court, please, the changes that Sarah has requested that she indicated would cut Avery's travel time?
I'd have to look at emails. I'm not 100% sure on it. I know that she had asked me to, I think, adjust some of my summertime. And then she also made another comment about spring breaks. So I'm not really sure.
Okay.
What exactly?
All right. And by the way, that's an okay answer. If you're not sure, all you have to do is say that and I'll just move along.
Okay.
All right. So of those instances that you do remember, the couple of them that you just cited, is that something you agreed to or did not agree to?
It's not anything that we actually really addressed. We knew that we were going to have this hearing, or I knew that we were going to have this hearing coming up that would address the needs as a whole. So,
Well, all right. So please help me understand. You recall Sarah making a request, and I think you just told us that you didn't really address it because you knew we were having a hearing with the court. Am I understanding correctly?
Sort of.
Okay. In a general sense, is it fair to say that each of you has made requests of the other that have largely gone nowhere?
Are you asking if we've asked for changes that haven't happened, or?
Yeah, well, I used the word largely. So do you acknowledge that the two of you pretty much get nowhere when one makes a request of the other parent?
No, we've made some adjustments.
Okay, but my word was largely. I didn't ask if you'd made an occasional adjustment. I used the word largely.
I don't know, as a group, it largely goes unchanged.
Okay. Do you, in your opinion, do you and Sarah work well together?
When it's needed, for
Okay.
sure.
And will you help me understand what that means when it's needed?
Just the only time, well, there was one instance specifically, and I don't know if I should bring it up or not, but there was one instance to where some medical concerns were brought up to me from Sarah. She called me on the phone. We talked about it and we made a decision together. So
Okay.
that's one that comes to mind. So that's an important thing that really requires us to work together.
All right. Sarah consulted with you on a medical issue and the two of you agreed on how it ought to be handled?
Yes.
Okay.
On steps to take, if that might be a better way to state it.
Okay. And this topic, the medical issue, concerns some reddening in Avery's personal area.
I was not aware. I don't know if we should dive into this currently, because I think it's a much bigger discussion to be had, but that was the ultimate outcome.
Okay. Very recently, did Sarah express concerns to you about some plans that you might have to fly over Memorial Day weekend with Avery?
Yes.
All right. And tell the court the outcome of Sarah voicing concerns to you about having Avery in an airplane.
Well, our plans have not been finalized yet.
Yeah, but
And-
that wasn't my question.
But okay, I don't know how to answer that without giving the whole situation, I guess.
Okay. Sarah did address her concerns with you.
Yes.
All right. And did you reply? Did you tell her that you were going to go ahead anyway, or that you were not going to go ahead anyway?
No.
All right. You put it off.
No, I wouldn't say that.
What would you say?
I would say that our personal plans have not been finalized yet. We haven't decided because things are changing so quickly.
Okay. So I'm back to, did Sarah voice to you concerns about Avery being in an airplane in this COVID mess?
Yes.
All right. And you neither agreed nor disagreed, you just put it off.
It hasn't been addressed yet, right?
Was the answer to my question yes?
No.
Did you agree
think-
with Sarah's concerns?
The current, not necessarily.
All right. Did
I
you
think there's
disagree?
more to it.
Did you
No.
disagree with it? All right. So you neither agreed nor disagreed, right?
Correct.
Okay. Left up in the air?
Right. It's not planned out yet.
All right. Your work schedule is subject to annual change, as I understand it, perhaps to a different shift.
Yes.
Right. And since we're, I guess, getting close to mid-year, in about half a year, you may be notified that your schedule has been changed again.
It's open for bidding. About December, end of December.
Right. And so if your schedule changes again in around New Year's, will you then request an additional change in schedule for Avery?
I can't know what's going to happen in the future.
All right. So it's a possibility based on a possible schedule time that you may come back to the court and ask for another adjustment of your parenting time?
I would hope that we could work it out between us if my rotation changed or something.
All right. And so other than the schedule changes that we mentioned to the judge early on today that Sarah had acquiesced to, how have other schedule changes worked out between you two? Have you been able to work out those other schedule changes that both of you have requested?
Sometimes.
Okay. Has that been the rule generally? You guys are working well together and you really don't need the court to change anything?
Well, we're here now.
All right, so you do feel that you need the court to make some changes, and is that because you and Sarah aren't doing it yourself?
On this particular issue,
On the parenting time change issue?
the things that we're addressing today, yes.
Sure. Okay. And that may or may not come up again in 6 months, right?
My schedule with what's proposed on my side, really, unless my days change, which does not look likely, the parenting time schedule would remain consistent. What I'm saying is that so we're divided in between it's called green side and orange side. My schedule right now is on the orange side. If it were to change to the green side, we may just need to flip-flop. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I do. It sounds like the answer to the simple answer was yes. Your time could change and you may need to come to court and ask for a change again.
No, I don't think so.
All right. So the schedule that you've requested of the court is one that you're asking not change if your schedule changes?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
All right. I'll move on. Ms. Burks asked you whether there was some parenting time that was scheduled that you had not availed yourself of, and you thought that there were a couple of occasions, I believe they were mandatory overtime. During those occasions, were you scheduled for parenting time with Avery?
Maybe one day I had parenting time and it was just a few hours.
Okay. And did you tell Sarah you were going to be unavailable for parenting time?
I don't recall.
Have you missed any scheduled parenting time for vacation?
Yes, once.
Okay. How much time did you miss?
I was gone for a week, so I'm not really sure. I think it was just the midweek day.
Okay. Now, you told Ms. Burke that you thought that you had been unavailable approximately 10 times for your midweek parenting time, for your Wednesdays. You'd missed about 10 of those. Tell me, as a benefit of your employment with the city of Muskegon, it sounds like you may get some vacation time and paid time off. Do I have that right?
I do.
All right. Is there a reason that you chose to not use paid time off, vacation days, sick days to avail yourself of that parenting time, those 10 days that you described?
Well, sick time is to be used for being sick. So that would be why I didn't use sick time.
Okay.
I have used comp time. So the first year of my employment, I did not have any vacation time. You earn your time. It's not just given to you right when you start. So I received vacation time beginning this year.
Okay.
So everything else was earned comp time. I did use comp time on several occasions to spend time with Avery.
All right. And did you use a week of your vacation time to go away rather than using it for time with Avery?
No, that was when I was still working. Well, actually, that was after my knee replacement. So I was off. That's not a time that I had to burn any time because I was off on short-term disability.
Okay. And during the knee replacement, were you exercising your parenting time?
I was.
And were you able to keep up with a 4 or 5-year-old toddler having just undergone knee replacement?
I did my very best.
Yeah. But I'm certain you did. We've all been exposed to 4 or 5-year-old toddlers, and were you able to keep up?
I would say so.
Okay, but not to the extent where you would be able to work?
No, my prior department didn't offer light duty unless you were hurt at work. So it wasn't an option for me.
Got it. In terms of your available time, Ms. Burks asked you about that, and the court has your work schedule. Are there other things that mandate your time?
No.
Okay. Do you operate any sort of a business?
I occasionally will barter for training spaces for my personal dogs. So I'll help other people with their dogs so I can use their spaces to train my own.
Mm-hmm. In fact, do you actually advertise that you've got a dog training business?
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing I've had forever.
All right. And so when you're doing your dog training business, that of course requires your personal time as well, right?
That's all voluntary. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. I just, Judge, are you indicating you want a break?
No.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I'll keep moving. All right. In terms of the income that you earn from your dog training business, is that income that you have or have not?
Objection, Your Honor. Objection. She did not testify that she earned money. She said she volunteered.
Okay. Well, I'll clarify.
Go ahead.
All right. Do you charge for your services?
I barter.
Okay. And is that income that you declare to the friend of the court, your bartered income?
I don't have income through that.
Okay. So your thought is because you choose to trade services, that shouldn't count as your income?
Because there's not income.
Okay. All right. In terms of your request to the court, you are asking that if we call summertime 3 months, that appears to put us in the zone, 3 months of summer and 9 months of school year. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So dealing with the school year first, 9 months of the school year, you are requesting that this court award you an additional 2 overnights each month for the 9 school months. Am I understanding correctly?
Yes.
All right. And then dealing with the 3 summer months, right now, under the current reasonable rights order, you have about 4 overnights per month?
No, not with summertime.
Okay, what's the summer plan, please?
Do you want a breakdown of, oh, I don't know what you're asking for. Do you want to
Yeah.
break down the schedule or overnights?
Well, I'm talking about overnights now.
Okay, so currently the overnights, do you want it month by month or do you want total?
Well, how many overnights per month, if that's easier, or you can give me a total for the 3 months, either way.
Okay, the total for May, June, July, and August for the current is 37.
All right, now, could you eliminate May? Because I think we've kind of agreed that summer is really June, July, August. So could we talk about that?
Oh, okay. I mean, I can, but it's not really much of a difference. So then for June, July, and August, it would be 34 then overnights.
All right.
The proposed would then be 41. So there's a difference of 9. Do you want to know what Sarah has? Or I don't know how
No.
far you want me to go.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to determine what your request to the court is. So it
Difference of
was-
9 nights.
Okay, so it's 9 summer nights and
Correct.
18 school year nights for a total of 27 additional overnights.
Is that right? That sounds right.
Oh, got it.
I don't have a calculator and math is not my strongest, but sounds right.
Okay. Your proposal is yet another change for Avery, yes?
It would be a change.
Your Honor, I don't have anything further for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Any redirect, Ms. Burks?
Yes, Your Honor, briefly. Bridget, how did you find out that Avery's class doesn't participate in that Grandparents' Day?
I sent her teacher a message after the question about it was brought up.
Okay, so during this hearing, you still asked her that
I did.
question?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was her response?
Would you like me to read it verbatim?
Not verbatim, no.
Okay, no, they're not involved in it.
Okay. And can you explain the situation regarding Avery flying and the concern with that?
Yes, concerns were brought up about quarantine issues, about vaccine requirements. I think those were the concerns.
Okay. Is this related to you taking a trip with Avery?
Yes,
Okay, and where is that proposed trip to?
Orlando.
Okay, and this would mean that she would have to fly, is that right?
Yes,
Okay, and if I heard your testimony correctly, that trip has been talked about but not planned yet?
correct. So we have tentative plans, but we can cancel these up to 24 hours prior to. Things are so all over the place, we don't know what to do with it.
Okay, and what was Sarah's concern with Avery flying?
Her concern was the possible mandated quarantine upon Avery's return.
Okay,
And so she said that she needed advance notice to take time off work if that's what was going to happen.
meaning if upon return, there was a requirement by the state of Michigan that she had to quarantine for a certain amount of time?
Correct.
Okay, and are you aware of any quarantine period right now?
No.
And is that why you're saying that these are tentative plans, because you don't know that if that will happen?
Yes. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen with COVID day to day right now?
Okay. And so if there were to be a mandatory 14-day quarantine period put in, would you consider that in making the final travel plan?
Absolutely.
And then there was some talk about the summer parenting time, and I just want to make sure that we're clear what the summer parenting time is right now with reasonable rights. So how much summer parenting time do you get now?
I currently receive 4 weeks. Sarah receives 2 weeks of like block time. You can take in 1 or 2 week increments. And as it stands right now, that would make summer exchanges at 32 exchanges. The proposed time would limit that down to 17 exchanges. So it's a huge reduction.
Okay, and summer parenting time, does that include midweeks? Midweek visits?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if the proposed, it eliminates the need for that.
Right, but currently you're saying there's a lot of exchanges. So are you factoring in the 4 weeks plus her 2 weeks plus midweeks plus holidays plus the weekends?
Yes.
And your proposal would eliminate all of those exchanges, is that right? Not
Yes.
all, but it would lessen those exchanges?
By almost 50%, yes.
Okay. And so then that would also reduce the travel time by 50%, correct?
Correct.
And Mr. Krenzik brought up the additional overnights. Is it the overnights that is your motivation, or is it just more time with Avery?
It's more time with Avery for sure, and it just makes sense with her school schedule.
Your Honor, I have no other questions.
Just a bit of follow-up, Your Honor. So
Go
Bridget,
ahead.
if there is a quarantine required, would it be your proposal to take a couple of weeks off work to tend to Avery during a couple of week quarantine period?
No. I
You'd
don't,
want to- Who would do that?
we wouldn't go if that was the case.
Okay. And when you mention Orlando, at least I think about Disney. Is that what you're talking about possibly doing with Avery?
Nope.
Okay, just a trip to Orlando without Disney.
Yeah, I can explain further if you'd like, but
No, if it's not Disney, it's not Disney. I got it. Is
No.
it one of the other theme parks?
no theme parks.
Got it. Okay. And just following up on what Ms. Burks asked you, is cutting down on travel time, Avery in a car, a foremost concern of yours?
Avery's best interests are always my concern.
Okay, but that I didn't ask you about if you look out for her best interest. I asked you whether cutting down travel time was a foremost concern.
It's a balance for sure. I don't know how to answer that with, it's not very black and white, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judge. Nothing further.
Okay, any further witnesses, Ms. Burks?
No, Your Honor. I would like to reserve the right to call Bridget as rebuttal if necessary. I
Of
don't
course.
anticipate it necessary, but
Of course.
thank you.
Mr. Kronzik?
Yeah, Judge, something popped up on my screen that says my battery is low. Could I just have 1 minute to plug in at a different location?
Go right ahead.
Okay, thanks. Here, look, plug this thing. Let's see if that does the trick. Yeah, yes, perfect. All right, the tech is under control.
Okay,
All right. The plaintiff is arrested?
Yes.
All right. Okay. I call Sarah Bofeisel.
Ma'am, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your full name, please.
Sarah Lynn Bofeisel.
Go ahead, Mr. Kronzek.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sarah, let me ask you about Avery's school schedule this year. There has been some discussion regarding May 27th, and I think based on plaintiff's exhibit number 1 that was admitted, we see that that day is a grandparent day. Do you have knowledge of whether that's something that Avery does or does not participate in?
I believe the date was the June date listed on the calendar, and it was referred to as a grandfather, without having it in front of me, I don't have the exact word. A grandfather event that she has participated in last year and is planning on participating on again this year, where the grandfathers have a sleepover at the school with the students, and that is welcome to preschool through grade 8 students.
All right, and that's something that they have done previously?
Yes.
Okay. There's been much discussion today about flexibility on the part of both parents. What's been your experience since the last custody order, since the judge made a ruling and we had a judgment of divorce? What's been going on in terms of flexibility on both sides?
I've tried to be flexible when possible. It has been very difficult to come to agreements with Bridget regarding all issues, not just parenting time.
Okay. Have you made requests of Bridget for flexibility?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give the court an idea of something recent that you requested of Bridget?
Most recently, I requested that this year Bridget and Avery celebrate Mother's Day together. Our scheduled exchange location is 8 p.m. Sunday evening in Coopersville. That is 45 minutes from our home, and that is a school night for Avery, who has school the next day. I simply requested that we use our midweek exchange location, which is Whitehall, so that Avery could get back home sooner, would be able to get in bed sooner, especially with the school day the next day. As the schedule is written, it would put her in bed 2.5 to 3 hours past her bedtime. And I just asked for the simple just change of location, same hour, same day, everything the same, just change the location for Avery.
Okay. And what did Bridget do with your request?
Initially, she said that she'd have to think about it. She wanted to make adjustments both on the pickup and on the drop off. She wanted me to bring Avery all the way for the drop off, and that way she'd bring her back all the way for the return. I try whenever possible to limit how much communication we do have to have together once I can tell that we're not going to be able to agree.
All right. So there was some discussion a little earlier about quid pro quo, tit for tat. Is that what Bridget was requesting this time?
I'm unsure of her motivation.
Okay. And when did this request come to Bridget? When did you ask her?
Oh, a couple weeks ago now, I would say.
Okay. In a general sense, are you guys able to work together, or are you working together?
No. Not at all.
Okay. Is there any communication between the two of you?
There are attempts at communication, yes.
How do they go?
I do not feel respected as a person by Bridget. And I believe that her domestic abuse of me continues to this day. I feel when we communicate that the communications are extremely demeaning from Bridget toward myself. They're condescending. They are toxic.
Do you remain in counseling attempting to deal with that?
I do weekly.
Bridget told the court that her midweek, her Wednesday, was because you wouldn't show any flexibility. Can you tell the court, please, how and why the Wednesday came about?
Yes, I have sought counseling with Jackie, the parenting time counselor with the FOC, twice regarding the midweek parenting orders. The first to seek explanation as to the intention of a midweek visit. And what I found out from Jackie is that Wednesday is the day selected by the FOC if the parents are not able to come to an agreement on their own. That is also my understanding of the reasonable rights parenting schedule. If the parents aren't able to agree that the FOC does have a parenting time schedule in place. And when being counseled by Jackie, she both explained to me that Wednesday is the default day if the parents cannot agree on a date, on a day of the week. And that on the midweek visits, they're scheduled to start after Avery gets out of school, if the parent is available. If the parent is unavailable, then the visit is to start when the parent becomes available. And as Bridget's schedule has changed over time, I have tried to stick to that order very closely because we are unable to come to agreements. And at least the FOC has a backup for parents who are unable to agree.
And has the inability to agree been one-sided, two-sided?
I would accept responsibility for some, but I would say it's heavily weighted on Bridget's side, in my opinion.
The exhibit that was admitted with your work schedule talked about days that you had worked and such. Will you tell the court, please, is that a carved in stone schedule? Do you have flexibility? Tell the court.
I've talked to my employer in advance of starting working, and what we've agreed to is to adjust my hours yearly based on Avery's school schedule. The schedule that works best for me as a single parent to aid her and to get us to the point, because I am a part-time employee right now, a slow transition from part-time to full-time once Avery is in school full-time. So we set my hours, we set my days that I work yearly. With my hours, I do have some flexibility if I needed to leave early, take a lunch at a different time. But we typically set my days yearly based on Avery's school schedule.
Will you explain to the court, please, if you are working on a particular day, would you tell the court about your interactions during that day as regards Avery?
Yes, I start my workday at 8 a.m. At any point during the day, if I am on the farm, there has been times where I've worked at farmers market, so I'm not actually physically located on the farm. But 90% of the time I am on the farm, and she is able to come and interact with me at any time while I'm at work. My lunch hour, because
Well, let me ask you about that. You said she can come and interact with you on the farm. So just for the record, you work in a greenhouse,
Yes.
right? And you all grow plants and trees and
Yes.
whatever. All right. So other than the fact that she can come and interact with you during the business day, does she come and interact with you during the business day?
she does. We have a playground on our farm for Spookly the Square Pumpkin. Often, one of my parents will walk her over, they play on the playground, they stop into the greenhouse that I'm working at, have some conversation. We share our lunch hour together every day. My place of employment is 1/4 of a mile from my home. And in between my home and my place of employment is my parents' house. So I am easily able to stop on my lunch hour, pick Avery up. We're able to enjoy our lunch hour together at home, in our own home. And then I can bring her back to my parents, or my parents can watch her in my home. We do both versions, both at their house and at my house. And I'm able to adjust my schedule if needed, if there was a school conflict.
So even on those days when you are working, you are interacting with Avery multiple times each day.
Yes.
What about before you begin work at 8?
We're at home together the entire time, preparing for our day.
All right. What about what time you begin work at 8 a.m.? What time do you finish work?
5 p.m.
All right. What happens at 5 p.m.?
I pick Avery up from my parents if she's at their house, or if she's at my house, simply just go home. And then we continue on with the rest of our day, Avery and myself.
So even during a work day, a scheduled work day, you interact first thing in the morning, midday at lunch, and then when you return home at 5.
Yes, I found this to be a good transition because Avery has spent the majority of her life being cared for by myself. A good transition from stay-at-home mom to working mom was a gradual one.
Just in a general sense, how does Avery do with change?
I think like all children, she prefers stability. And if there is going to be a change, to know about it in advance so we can practice and just kind of get used to what the new changes is going to be. In the last 3 years, she's went through a divorce. She's lived in 5 homes. She's had 2 parenting time orders, and she's had both of her school and her writing lessons abruptly stopped due to COVID. Those are a lot of changes that happened without warning and were quite shocking to her, and because of which it seems that she prefers advance notice and when possible to have things stay the same.
What's your thought about Bridget's request for more changes?
It seems to me like the goal posts are just always changing. When possible, I'd like to accommodate her request to be flexible. But it seems like as soon as I agree to something, then the goalpost change to something different. And while she very much would like these changes to happen, I do not believe that they are the ones that would be best for Avery.
She has asked the court to add almost an extra month of parenting time, 27 days to be more specific. Do you think that's in Avery's interest, best interest?
No, I do not think changing the schedule before we hear from the Supreme Court is in Avery's best interest.
Putting aside the Supreme Court, the legal things that are happening, Is it, in your opinion, in Avery's best interest to take away 27 of your overnights?
No,
Tell the court why you think taking away 27 of your overnights would be a bad idea for Avery.
I think it presents another change for her. Bridget and I have both lived in multiple homes since our divorce. We've had multiple parenting schedules. This would present yet another change for Avery. And she is used to being with me most of the time. That's what she's experienced her entire 5 years of life.
And to whom does Avery naturally turn for love, guidance, affection, and discipline?
Myself.
Is there anything else you would like this court to know about before the court makes a decision on the request to change parenting?
Just that I have tried very hard to be flexible with Bridget. I've agreed to the alternating weeks based on her work schedule.
The alternating weeks or the alternating midweek?
The alternating midweeks, because that is what Jackie counseled me when I talked to her twice. She said, we do have this reasonable right schedule spelled out in case parents cannot agree. And we have been unable to agree on many things, including if there should be a midweek visit on alternating days, what time that visit should end, where the exchange of that visit should happen. So I have just really relied on the FOC and Jackie's guidance to know exactly what to do as far as pertaining to our order, following our order correctly until we can have a different decision.
All right. In terms of your request for the court,
Yes.
You are willing to switch some of every other Wednesday to an every other Tuesday?
Yes,
Okay.
to accommodate Bridget's work schedule.
Okay. In the alternative, are you willing to tack time onto her weekends or every other weekends and tack those hours onto the weekend?
That would be my preferred choice on the weeks that Bridget is unavailable on Wednesdays. It would change the time from 7 days to 8 days in between their visits. But the lack of car travel, we live 65 miles apart from each other. That's over an hour. So if I can eliminate some of those drives for Avery, I think that would be very good.
All right. In terms of Bridget's request to do alternating weeks, what is your thought?
My ideal situation would be adding the time onto the weekends. That was Bridget's initial recommendation, suggestion, and once accepted, the goalposts changed now to this alternating week schedule. The alternating weeks, in order to make up her midweek time, would be my second choice in the situation.
All right. I don't have anything further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, I do need to take about a 10-minute break here. We'll turn off the live stream